Hello everyone. Welcome to the Interview Masterclass 2025 Part 2. I am Tejal Khandelwal, a PSIR and GS Paper 2 faculty. In the previous video, we had discussed about India-Bangladesh relations, India-Pakistan relations, Pakistan-Afghanistan relations, and India-Afghanistan relations, especially relations with the Taliban. There are other dimensions also in this particular triangle, and we can say that the US Pakistan relation also becomes very important with respect to the interview point. And that is because it has been in immense contemporary news, especially in the aftermath of the Operation Sindhu. So let's see what can be the probable questions and what should be the answers of this relation. So when we talk about US-Pakistan relations, what is the first question? The first question reads, what is the nature of their relations? If we have to define or summarize USA and Pakistan's relation in two lines, we can say that it is guided by strategic convenience rather than a partnership built on enduring trust. And we can say that this partnership, though it is built on overlapping interests, but it is in fact undermined by mistrust and divergent goals. And we always see that there is American frustration with the unpredictability and undependability in Pakistan. So even if there is engagement, but it often results in disillusionment and yes, also punitive measures by the US on Pakistan. So in one line, if we have to say, we can say that yes, it is guided by strategic convenience, but there is no enduring trust in this relation and it is a fragile partnership. The next question reads, why Pakistan needs US? Pakistan needs US for many reasons. First, with respect to the financial support that America provides. Second, with respect to hedging it can do vis-a-vis China, so that there is not too much over dependence on China in this regard. And when we talk about Pakistan needing USA, we can also say that Pakistan needs USA as a strategic necessity even against India, so that every time there can be a possibility of India-Pakistan conflict, there can be US who can come to the cover and rescue of Pakistan, just like in the recent times. So we can say yes, there are three vital reasons why Pakistan needs USA. First is financial support. Second is not increasing too much dependence on China. So yes, hedging with the US. And third is with respect to necessity as a strategic necessity against India. Now, second question reads, why USA needs Pakistan? USA needs Pakistan firstly for counter-terrorism, and specifically after the 9/11 episode, it needed more Pakistan with regard to that. Second, with respect to stability in Afghanistan, so there has been more strategic depth that Pakistan enjoyed in this regard. And yes, also USA's interest in West Asia. So now that we see this key partnership that is being developing between Saudi and Pakistan in this regard. And if Pakistan comes as a partner who will oppose American interest, then there can be more strength to that alignment, which is closer to China and Russia. So in this regard also, with respect to West Asia, that USA needs Pakistan. Fine. The next question is, what is the history of the US-Pakistan relations? So if we have to talk about the history of US-Pakistan relations, we know that unlike India, who chose the path of non-alignment, Pakistan was always an aligned state. It had also joined many military alliances like the SEATO, the CENTO, and And there has always been the location of Pakistan, which holds key importance, pivotal importance, and it always coordinated actions with respect to, in this particular region, how India would be non-aligned. So with respect to American influence in South Asia, always Pakistan was vital. But we also see that there have been historically always that yes, America has supported Pakistan, but there are two instances. We can say that one is the 1962 India-China war, and at that time it in fact restrained Pakistan, so because India was in a very vulnerable position. And we can say that even if in 1971 Nixon had a lot of sympathy for Pakistan with respect to Bangladesh, but he couldn't be of very great help because India's narrative was very, very strong with respect to the human right violations and the democracy movement that was happening in Bangladesh, the liberation war that was happening in Bangladesh. And one instance is that is the 1999 the Kargil conflict. It was the first time that USA supported India very openly in this regard. So yes, these can be things we can say with respect to the US-Pakistan history, relations and Indian context. Now, why there is a renewed interest in Pakistan? There are many reasons, and one of the key reasons is the presence of rare earth minerals, not allowing Pakistan to go too much in the Chinese dependency, and also because of the assertion of India's foreign policy with respect to key goals, with respect to ambitions, which is somewhere hurting the US president. So we can look at US-Pakistan dimension, which can also be of importance with respect to the interview. All right, now let's move to the second, that is India-Sri Lanka. Now, when we say what is the nature of India-Sri Lanka relations, so we can say in one line that India-Sri Lanka relations have been guided by love-hate relation. This is one of the most important analysis that has been made by scholars, that it is a love-hate relation. However, after the civil war that ended, we see that there is a lot of transformation that has happened in India-Sri Lanka relations. So from conflictual, which was there, it has gone to normal, and now it has been more cooperative in this sense. So we see there is both a qualitative and quantitative transformation that is happening in India-Sri Lanka relations. So we can summarize it saying that yes, there was a phase where it was guided by love-hate, but now from conflictual to normal to cooperative, and we can see transformation in the relations, and presently relations are good because India has played a very positive role with respect to Sri Lanka in that regard, with the respect to the economic crisis, and now the cyclone Ditwa that has happened, and India continues to play a positive role. Next question is, why is India and Sri Lanka not able to solve the fishermen issue, and what can be the suggestion? When we talk about the fishermen issue, it is a very complex and chronic problem. We must understand that. Why it is a complex and chronic problem? Because even if the international maritime boundary line has been drawn, the fishermen in India are still traditionally dependent on fishing as the key occupation and source of livelihood. And the bigger problem in this entire issue is effectively them not only crossing the IBML. The bigger problem is the technology that has been used, the modern vessels that they have. So bottom trawling has been used by Indian fishermen. They do very rapid operations. And this bottom trawling techniques leads to what? This in fact depletes the entire ecosystem. And this is a bigger problem than effectively crossing. Because for this, there is no, again breeding of the new varieties, and these kind of problems are faced. And when we look at from the Sri Lankan side, yes, there have been very hefty penalties There have been arrests. They have seized the boats. The fishermen have been under arrest. And yes, this becomes a very severe issue. There have been joint working groups also that have been formed. But until the Indian fishermen resort to, firstly, traditional fishing methods, secondly, they are not provided an alternative source of livelihood, it looks very difficult of how this issue will be resolved. So this is the reason why we are not able to, because of them not having dependence. And a bigger problem is the nature of fishing, the methodology, the problem of bottom trawling, we say. Now, what should be the suggestions? So we can say that we can have like the EU Baltic model is there, where equitable quotas to conserve living resources are there. We can also have joint research stations. We can, even now government has banned bottom trawling Indian side, but yet it is being done by the fishermen. So that solution is not a solution which is working in this case. Fine. And liberal assistance scheme can be given by India so that they can move to alternative sources of livelihood. Such kind of measures may help in the longer run. Now, what is the issue of Kachathivu? When we talk of the issue of Kachathivu, in 2025, it is resolved. In exchange of Kachathivu, India has received Veg Bank, which is a very rich economic region also. Biodiversity wise also it is very rich. So even the Attorney General has pointed in the Supreme Court that if we want Kachathivu back, then probably India will have to fight a war with Sri Lanka. So whatever may be the political rhetoric around it, during the time of elections, we must understand that bilaterally this issue has been resolved and Kachathivu is part of Sri Lankan territory today. Now, there can be one more question. What role is India playing in the recent disaster? What role is India playing? So yes, India has done Operation Sagar Bandhu. So just remember Operation Sagar Bandhu. It can be a question that can be asked. And that is the cyclone Ditwa that has happened. So there were shipborne helicopters deployed by India for aerial recce of the affected areas, and successful rescue missions of as well as rescue of Sri Lankan citizens has been done. Now, the next topic is India-Nepal relations. So, what is the nature of India-Nepal relations? They are civilizationally close and one of the most unique relationship, because the relationship is driven, we say, by marriage and mythology, and very strong relations. One of the most unique and special neighbor of India is Nepal. Now, why there is a regime change in Nepal, right? So what has been the protest? Why this change has come? So we can say that Nepal became a republic from a monarchy after 2008, when abolition of monarchy happened. And we see a republic and a constitution coming into force in 2015, and India played a very constructive role. But why the need for regime change is because the youth of Nepal wants a new order. And why they want a new order? Because there is a strong nostalgia in them that Nepal is the only world's Hindu state. And this monarch represents Lord Vishnu. So if monarchy is revived, there is possibility of again a new order, because they don't find any different alternative apart from the existing order, which is certainly problematic because of inflation, because of slowdown, because of employment opportunities not being very great in Nepal. So regime change is because of this reason, that they want new order. The youth is very ambitious in this regard. They want complete overhaul in the economic structure, and they want better opportunities for a better life. Now, what are the implications on India relations, Nepal relations if monarchy is restored? Now, restoring monarchy itself looks a little difficult in this context. even if there have been certain parties in Nepal who have supported monarchy, of it coming back looks difficult. Yes, there are protests, and maybe with the change in regime that has happened, the new government, the caretaker government that has come, maybe will bring in a positive change, peaceful change in Nepal. But even if the question is, even if monarchy is restored, will it have impact on Nepal relations? So, yes, we can say that if monarchy is restored, the change in India Nepal relations will depend on the attitude of monarchy towards India. Because India Nepal relations, yes, they are guided state by state, but there is a very strong people to people relations. So, India always, though, encourages democracy in Nepal, but in case if this is restored, then we can expect that what will be the dynamics that will be governing the monarchy will be what will impact the relations. Okay. How will the recent RBI measures impact India Nepal? So RBI has taken some few measures, like they have allowed special rupee Vostro accounts, and they are accounts actually with foreign banks, with Indian banks in Indian National Rupee for investment in corporate bonds and commercial papers. And they have permitted also investment in central governmental securities. Also, there is authorized dealers who will be allowed to lend Indian National Rupee to non-residents of Nepal, which will obviously help the trade and the industry in Nepal overcoming the chronic challenges for the working capital that is needed by smaller businesses. Okay, so these measures in this regard can also help with respect to India-Nepal relations and easing the economic environment and things like that. So yes, there are some authorized dealer banks that have been identified. Now, let's move to India-Bhutan. Now, the question is reading, what is the significance of the Global Peace Prayer Festival? So, the Global Peace Prayer Festival becomes important because we know that eminent lamas from all over the world will be coming at this festival at Thimphu, and they will be talking about the key values of Buddhism during the times of key conflicts that are going across the world. So, how there can be peace, prosperity during the time of conflicts. Apart from that, if we have to substantially say that what is the impact of this festival, so yes, it is a part of Buddhist diplomacy, we can say, but it is for the first time that we can look at it in the aspect of equality, because it is the first time that there will be Gelongma or Bhikshuni ordination of more than 250 Buddhist nuns. And this will be presided by the spiritual head of Bhutan's Buddhist school, largest Buddhist school, the Drukpa Kagyu. Okay, so it will be a key step towards addressing inequality between men and women in monasticism. So you have to look at this event not only in terms of the Buddhist diplomacy, how it offers solution to problems in the world, how it brings compassion, humanity, such values, but also in terms of gender empowerment. Okay, so it is in this sense, and obviously India has played a role by sending in the key remains in this regard. Now, which king abdicated throne in favor of his son? So it was Jigme Singye Wanchuk, very famously known as K4. Jigme Singye Wanchuk, and he abdicated the throne in the favor of his son Jigme Khesar Namgyal Wangchuk. It is a rare event where the king has abdicated the throne, and the abolition of monarchy was an effort by the king himself, right, in Bhutan. Now, the next question is on Myanmar. Myanmar is not part of South Asia, but Myanmar is part of immediate neighborhood. Is this clear? Myanmar is effectively institutionally part of Southeast Asia, right? So, but it is part of neighborhood, immediate neighborhood. So, we are discussing it here. Now, what are the key security threats from Myanmar to India? So, we have a very long border with Myanmar, one of the key borders that we share across the northeastern states. Second important thing, that there are smuggling networks of humans, of arms, and of drugs that operate. There are infightings that are happening within Myanmar, which have very strong links. Those groups have links even with insurgents in northeast of India. So insurgency can be fueled if the Myanmar side does not cooperate and provide cover to these insurgents. All right. In the recent times, there are also cyber threats that are emerging. So the Enforcement Directorate has launched an investigation into a money laundering and a cross-border drug smuggling network for chemicals in the recent time. And that is happening largely through Mizoram. So yes, because there is, groups that are infighting in Myanmar with the military, the democratic groups, they are fighting the key armed groups. So in the Rakhine province, there is Arakanese, there is Kachin independence, there is Tang. So yes, this infighting certainly impact. Now also security threats can be seen. It can impact our economic investments, because Myanmar is one of the most important link for India, Myanmar, Thailand trilateral highway, as well as the Kaladan multimodal transit transport project, which is vital for Look East. The two most important connectivity pillars. So if there is threat, infighting and violence and instability in Myanmar, certainly it will impact these connectivity projects. And obviously, if Rohingyas are curbed, then certainly there will again be refugees of Rohingyas which will migrate to India. Now even Bangladesh is relocating them at Bhashan Char. But this threat will loom. So there are a lot of security threats that come with respect to Myanmar. Now, the next question is, what is the free movement regime? It was established in 1968, which allowed transboundary movements of hill tribes across both the states for nearly 40 kilometers on the boundary line on either side. Later, it was reduced to 16 kilometers in 2004. And now, with some more changes in 2016, now it has been reduced to 10 kilometers. And with respect to free movement regime, there has been a strong divergence between the central government and the state governments, because many state governments want it to continue. The central government wants to completely fence the border, obviously for security reasons, because of the infighting that is happening in Myanmar. But on the other hand, there have also been a meet which has happened between many groups and the central government. But there has been no consensus that has been derived, because many groups say that there are Nagas which live on the other side of the border and they have strong linkages with India. There are also strong ethnic and ties which are there with respect to this. So, many groups have not adhered with the central government who wants to fence this, and they are completely saying no. Also, one more question that can come is, what is India's stand with respect to human rights violation and the political instability in Myanmar? So, India has very clearly recently pointed that India wants an inclusive political dialogue in Myanmar, which will be Myanmar owned and Myanmar led for peace, stability, and democracy. And this is like the same stand we have held even for Afghanistan. So we spoke of Afghanistan led, Afghanistan owned, and Afghanistan controlled peace process. And a similar idea we also hold with respect to Myanmar. so that there should not be external powers like China and USA who can take strategic advantage in this regard. Is this clear? So that is with respect to the stand India has for inclusive political dialogue that will bring peace, prosperity in Myanmar. Thank you so much.